Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Into the Badlands. Quite a few things to discuss in this episode. I love the fact is that, Baji, Sunny, Nyx, and Minerva are all in the car, and Baji's running his mouth off about the different birds that he's eaten, the ones he had, and stuff like that. And I love literally Sunny, Nyx, and Minerva just looking around the car because no one's talking but him, and he just keeps going on and on and on. But it is interesting when it's all said and done. Obviously, it's that conversation between Sunny and Minerva I thought was kind of interesting, where it was basically like Minerva's like, "I'm sorry, I know what I say can't bring Vale back." For him, it's like, I was pissed, but I was on the way to forgiving. I took Henry and I left. But the problem was, you literally kept sending people to kill me. So that's what aggravates it even more. I might have been able to kind of move past it if you weren't continuously sending people after me and my son. To be fair, that kind of fed into Minerva, who she was before, because Minerva was so paranoid about Sunny coming back for revenge just because of what happened with Vale. And also, she's just paranoid about anyone potentially that she screwed over in the past coming back to haunt her. That was just her mentality, when it came to amassing power and stuff like that. Even though she says she has the best of intention, like, obviously there's a darker root to all of that, like, power can corrupt people, and so that's what that paranoia is, what more so affected her decision to send people out. Because that is the thing, like, because she didn't really even take time to think about it. At no point in time did Sunny come back. It was like, wasn't there like a 6-month period in between season 2's finale and the beginning of season 3? I think it was like a 6-month period, something like that. But then again, you can make the argument, because of her paranoia, kind of like Quinn. Quinn was super paranoid, and I guess any Baron or anyone in that position kind of gets paranoid at some point in time. So I think it was just probably like she just like, Sunny's just going to wait for the opportunity. He's going to come at any point in time, so I need to make sure he's dealt with. So, which is kind of sad too, because when you actually think about it, it's like, well, you're trying to kill him, but to be fair, that means you will be willing to leave his son out there in the world alone, being responsible for the death of 2 of his parents. Like, that's a lot in itself, but I think she went off, like, that whole conversation, because, like, for Sunny, it's like, when it's all said and done with Pilgrim, I'm coming for you. And I think when she overheard Nyx talking about the fact is, like, I don't want, Minerva here, we shouldn't really trust her, but the fact of the matter is, going into this fight, we're going to need good fighters, and we need her help. So I think if it wasn't for the whole, like, obviously, Tilda and Gaius being in trouble, I'm curious what that conversation would have really meant. I think that might mean, like, overhearing everything. Like, I think it is that thing of, like, Minerva is already in the process of having a change of heart or being different from who she was before. And so I think that was just kind of furthering that, of just her realizing, like, who she was, like, even more reason why she doesn't deserve her gift right now, because if she got her gift, the person who let that situation happen, who kept sending people after Sunny, it's like that situation would be so much worse if she had a gift. I don't know if that's something she's thinking. That's what it seems like they've kind of set it up to be, like, a lot more trouble will come from her having her gift, So, but speaking of the whole Tilda and Gaius thing, they did have this moment I thought was kind of pretty neat, where it's like, apparently the place they're going to find Chau, it was a place like nomads would constantly pop up, and Gaius' dad would send him there to basically test his blade, his skills against living people. And even Tilda's like, man, your family's super messed up. And for him, it's like, that's why he fights so hard to do all that he's done, fight against his family, because of just how terrible they are. And it's like, we kind of got a peek at that earlier this season, like, back in the day when all 3 of them, Minerva, Chau, and, Gaius, were all younger. But Tilda said an interesting thing where she was basically like, the fact is, because it also comes back to the conversation of, like, even with that being said and done, he couldn't kill his mom. And he was like, yeah, I had that witness, but when the time comes, I won't have that with my sister. And she's like, it's not a weakness that you didn't kill her. It shows that you're human. And even him being like, at the end of the day, I don't know how much human is left in any of us here in the Badlands, And it's kind of interesting kind of having them have that moment like that. I thought was kind of pretty neat. Because it's like, for Tilda, it's like, the fact is that you were in a privileged position. You could have just gone with the flow, but you chose not to. You chose to fight against your family, and that is, honorable. And for him, it's like, privilege is one thing, but being blind to what was going on is a completely different thing, essentially, something like that. And it's interesting because it's like you see the bond is kind of building between Tilda and Gaius, which makes sense because, you know, everything that's going on between Gaius and Minerva, it's kind of like, well, to a certain extent, you can almost see that kind of being like a stepfather, stepdaughter type of relationship that are potentially building up. Maybe, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Sadly, they do end up getting captured by Chau, and she's torturing them. Once again, it's like we knew how duplicitous Chau was because of season 2. It wasn't until like earlier this season, where we were like, the first half of season 3, where you're like, man, even as a child, she was sadistic. To be fair, it kind of applied to everyone in the family except for Gaius. And you see that in the fact that she's torturing her own brother. She's enjoying it, even like torturing Tilda, and even reminiscing about like, oh, the fact is I broke Minerva and she came out almost like skin and bones, and oh, her hair was almost filled with lice and stuff like that. She sounds so enjoying. I mean, let's not forget, she was the one that lashed Minerva when Gaius couldn't back then, and it was like, and she was super excited about it because, you know, she is kind of the opposite of like, whereas Gaius kind of denied his privilege, you know, Chau and Juliet embraced it. But seeing her kind of beat on, you know, Tilda like that, and almost being like, oh yeah, like the day one of it and stuff like that, it's just like, God, you suck. And just when she's about to kill Gaius, Tilda's like, yo, it was me that killed your mom. And it's like, oh, she was begging like a coward. It's like, yo, Tilda. And then lo and behold, who shows up? Nyx and Minerva. But it's like, no, let's not get Nyx involved in this. Minerva's going to handle this herself. And that was a pretty dope fight, especially like on the carousel, the merry-go-round. And I love like, because of the hooks on her blade, like, Chau like using it to kind of swing herself around like the poles and stuff like that. Even at one point linking her blades together so it's like extended and she's kind of swinging it almost like a whip. At one point I was like, that's pretty dope. But I'm glad that when it's all said and done, Minerva put her down, especially because she was talking shit during the fight too. And it's like, it has to come down to this. And I like just this added bonus of like sliding the blade against the chain. You see the sparks and decapitation. It's like, which is interesting because like, I mean, I would assume when it's all said and done, Chau's people will give up now. So it's like, yay, they won the war. I mean, it's kind of over now because literally now Minerva's the last one standing. I was almost halfway expecting her gift to like resurface because she's doing this, because she's fighting for the people that she loves, that it is no longer about power and position. This is about protecting the Badlands and protecting the people she cares about the most. So I was thinking in that moment her gift would like resurface, but it didn't. So that still doesn't mean it won't pop up later on, but still. But speaking of gifts, there's a lot of information that ends up getting dropped on it too. Yo, like MK. Also, side note, I didn't realize it. Well, I didn't know he was going back to. I guess at any point in time, because it looked like there was more harbingers. So, well, they did. I guess it got repaired because I was like, it was in the process of getting repaired the last time we saw it. The chamber where they can make more, because like he definitely had more harbingers, which is also interesting little detail that they obviously have to cut themselves, so they're not the most well-trained people. They don't have complete control of their gifts yet because some of them had to cut themselves. But you see Pilgrim activating his gift, you see MK activating it. And to me, seeing MK fight the Abbots is so crazy when you actually think about it. Like, think about where MK was at the end of season 1. Like, the finale ended with him and Sunny fighting Abbots. MK couldn't beat them, but it's like, look, lo and behold, here he is kicking ass against a whole bunch of Abbots. To be fair, maybe these Abbots aren't as well trained, but you would assume so just because of everything. But still, like, he kicked some ass, especially the final guy. He stabbed him in the eyes, both his eyes like that. It's like, that's brutal, because you can also tell this is like personal for MK. And then like Pilgrim versus the Master. Now that's an interesting thing, because like the Master is basically saying like, you're delusional if you think that this power and stuff like this was meant for you, because obviously they have the different perspectives, because he thinks the gift should be able to run free, because it's not you that shapes the gift, it's the gift that shapes you. And then, you know, for the Master, it's all about keeping it under control because it's so destructive. And that is a crazy fight. Like, obviously the Master holds her own easily, but man, is Pilgrim deadly. I mean, not only is he able to, you know, take out, you know, deactivate the gift like that, that turned into a brutal fight. And that's just crazy thing, because like, anytime the Master's fought anyone, yes, there's been some like a little bit of damage here and there, sure, but the Master has never been that messed up. Even her fight against Minerva, like, yeah, Minerva kind of got her own moves in and stuff like that, but it was still a very one-sided fight, with like the Master not seeming like she broke a sweat. Dude, she was heavily crippled in this fight. He was beating her down. And there's such an interesting thing because it turns out it's because they didn't click in my head because I thought like when he took all the power that was inside of Sunny, like all him being the catalyst, I thought when he took all that, that's when he got a gift. But it's like no, it didn't really click in my head until now. It's like you stole the gift. It's like right, the gift he stole with Henry's taking Henry's gift and making his own was kind of like the beginning of absorbing everything that was with Sunny, because like, bestowing the gift upon people, like obviously like if you're born with a gift you have a much easier time, because obviously when you cut yourself that's you abusing the gift and meaning you don't have complete control over it. Also not being born with it puts an even bigger strain on you, so the people he makes harbingers probably going to have an even shorter amount of time than probably even Castor or Nyx. I mean Nyx is in better condition because she can control her gift now, but it's hitting Pilgrim harder because it's not even his gift. He's not even, so not only you're using a gift which is Henry's, because Henry probably has such a strong gift because it was in him, he was so young. That's how I interpret it, but not unless it was just outright stolen from Sunny. But I think it is just outright like Henry's gift. But nevertheless, and it's just the fact is like your headaches are getting worse. It's like it's going to eventually kill you. There's also the thing with MK, which I thought was kind of interesting. She was like, I wasn't trying to take your gift. I was trying to basically, because I knew that if I let you go, you'd be the end of us. Because I guess because of how strong MK's gift is, she knew what he was capable of. That, because obviously we saw what he's capable of when he lost control of his ability. He was very savage. He ripped through people like it was nothing. It was almost like an uncontrollable killing machine. And it's like probably letting that go with him just being able to do his gift all willy-nilly. Like even if he got control of it, she probably felt like he'd end up succumbing to the darkness anyway, which he kind of has, which Pilgrim kind of has. And for her, it's like, you can try this whole like you're trying to build Azra thing. She's like, but you're going to fail, and also you won't see the end of this. I'm like, yo, is that you foreshadowing the fact is that MK's going to die, or is that supposed to be just foreshadowing that the fact that she said that you can keep trying but it's going to fail makes me seem like it's implying that obviously it won't work? Because the thing is, like her saying MK won't see it could be implied as like, oh, it just won't be built. But I'm interpreting that as like MK's going to die at the end of this, which is even sad just because of where him and Sunny stand. It's either going to be Nyx or Sunny that puts him down potentially, because they might not have a choice. I mean, because obviously you see Pilgrim waking up all the other sleepers, like all those in that position, and it's taking its toll on Pilgrim. He's starting to black blood is coming from his eyes because the gift is killing him faster and faster. So then my brain is like, okay, so Pilgrim might not be the main antagonist. We might see MK taking over, that he's going to be the one to carry over the burden, maybe, or at the very least he's going to be like the first line of defense of all of this. I don't know. It'd be crazy if it ends up being that MK does shift over to become like the main antagonist, and that when it's all said and done, like they will have to put him down even more so in that regard. I don't know. I would assume not being the case. The fact is that there's still the rest of the gifts inside. He still holds parts of the catalyst that Sunny did. It's still inside of Pilgrim, so I feel like that's not over yet potentially, because I'm sure he's going to want to pass that on to other people. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see what they end up doing with that. Like, will Pilgrim not make it to the end of the series, just in the regard of like, oh, I'm passing it on to MK? That'd be interesting. We're gonna have to wait and see where that goes, and also like what they end up doing with the Master and stuff like that, because I'm sure MK is going to want her dead, along with a lot of the other people who want her dead too, all the other sleepers. It's kind of interesting too, because it's like when it's all said and done, Ankara was kind of right. Pilgrim and the Master really aren't the best examples. Like the Master didn't handle things the best way that she could, but in her mind she thought she was doing the best thing for the world, because all these people around with their Dark One abilities would assume succumb to darkness, and she felt like they would lose control. So you can understand why she did what she did, but you can make the argument her doing that just caused more problems. It's hard to say. But obviously there's a whole bunch of Dark Ones awake now, so the army that Pilgrim has is growing even larger, because a lot of the people that were training there now see the Master for who she was. The fact is that she needled so many people and stuff like that. It's like, oh, she's trying to bury you guys, bury your gifts. It's like, I'm giving you true freedom, so there's that. There was a really interesting conversation that came about because of Ankara. She finally told the truth about what happened. Like, it kind of makes sense why she's doing all this. Like everything with Pilgrim, the reason why she wanted to let it happen is because for her, she's like, I'm the reason why Azura fell. I'm the reason why all this is happening, because she's trying to make up for the past is why she let this, like, oh, send out the signal to Pilgrim, because she wanted a new Azura to be built because she feels responsible for burning down. There was these scholars. There was one in particular, Magnus, that helped her find, you know, Azura, because it basically was rebuilt after the world fell, and they found it, but Magnus was secretly working for Black Lotus, and then he ended up, you know, burning the city down. And obviously there were only 3 survivors: Sunny, his sister, and Pilgrim. And I think that was her, like, her way of, like, getting a new, you know, no matter what it brought to the world, as long as it meant, like, hey, Pilgrim's out there trying to rebuild an Azura, I think for her that's all that mattered. But now when things kind of being what it is, like things are so out of control, like even the Master's been taken down by Pilgrim, I think she's starting to see that Pilgrim isn't the solution. Also with Black Lotus being out there too, so that's an issue too. So I think for her mind shifted, especially because there was that thing of like, oh yeah, because that's why she took Baji under her wing, because it's like, oh, I want you to kind of correct my wrong. That's why she put Baji on this path to get him so motivated like her. And it was like, huh. It kind of makes you realize, like, okay, you can understand why she kind of set this all in motion. Like I said, trying to rebuild Azura because she feels responsible for destroying the one that was rebuilt after the world ended, you know? Or at least ended up in the state that it is in, so. But it turns out Magnus is the one that's following them, stabbing Baji, and then killing Ankara. We don't know if Baji's straight up dead. I hope not. That would suck so much ass. I'm hoping when it's all said and done, Ankara is able to kind of crawl over and restore his life for her. It might be the last good thing she's able to do because she does care about Baji. It might even end with her potentially restoring his gift. That's what I was thinking at the end was going to happen. Like his gift would activate and then he'd save Sunny, which is interesting because Magnus is like, oh, I want to kidnap Sunny, but it's like, why? I guess because what's buried deep in Sunny is like the key to everything. Well, because you would, or not unless they don't know that Sunny is, well, because I feel like him being a catalyst, of course, you'd kill him right away. So the fact is they haven't, I don't know what that's all about. I mean, because Ankara is like, oh, his sister's dead, but maybe she's not dead. The fact is that they're willing to do that. And because it's interesting, too, because he was able to shut down, like, Magnus was able to shut down Ankara's ability, but then I'm like, well, it makes sense because he was studying with the abbots. He was a scholar and stuff like that. So there's that. Because even the fact is he knows Sunny's real name too, Sunzo, that makes, I think that speaks volumes of like, how do you know what you know? Not unless you ended up torturing it out of his sister. Like I said, we'll have to see where all that ends up taking us potentially. But I hope on everything Baji isn't dead, because that would suck. Because you know it would break Minerva's heart too, especially because like they just made up and everything, and now it's like, oh man, not only is Baji gone now, you know, there's no going forward for them, like, you know, trying to make up for the lost time that they had, potentially. Hell, losing Baji might be what's necessary to awaken Minerva's gift, because it ended up pushing MK, like learning the truth about his mom, ended up pushing him to unlock his gift, so maybe you have similar circumstances. I'm very interested to find out. Like, I feel like just because they brought up the point of like, oh yeah, Sunny's, whatever is in Sunny is super special, and it's buried so deep that only his sister can awaken it. It makes me think like, yeah, his sister has to be alive, but why would Ankara think she was dead? Maybe because the Black Lotus attacked that day on the boat, and it's like, oh, Sunny's the only one they at least are aware of, so maybe Ankara is like, we haven't seen her in all this time. If she was still alive, she would be with Sunny, unless she was locked away. Because I wonder, is Magnus the leader of the Black Lotus? It seemed like they might be edging towards that. You know, side note, I kept wondering why I feel like I recognize the actor who plays Magnus. Isn't that the dude from the PlayStation commercials? Like, anytime there's live action bits that were about the PlayStation, like, it'd be him. It would be that combined with, like, video game stuff. Isn't that the same actor, or is that a different actor? I don't know. I'm blanking on his face right now, but I think that's him. I could be wrong. But nevertheless, I wonder, like I said, I'm wondering, is he like the top dog in Black Lotus, or does he answer to someone else? Is there like a king or a leader to the group? I don't know. Maybe we'll kind of dive into it, because, you know, maybe with Sunny being with the Black Lotus, we'll kind of learn more about their whole situation. Maybe not, like, because maybe Sunny will break free, or someone will kind of help save him before he gets completely taken away by the Black Lotus. I'm very interested to see what the next episode has in store for us with all of this. What they've introduced, what they've set up. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how things ultimately play out. But really, that's all I want to talk about today. Next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and good